Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really fascinating intersection in the B2B world. We're looking at exactly how buyer psychology and strategic equipment financing collide to actually close more deals. We're going to bridge the gap between the kind of irrational ways our human brains process numbers and the hyperlogical ways a CFO protects their balance sheet. So let's get right into it. To kick things off, we really have to ask ourselves a fundamental behavioral question. Why do we buy what we buy? Because the truth is, we rarely evaluate numbers in a vacuum. Long before a buyer reads a single word of your carefully crafted proposal, the number on the page is already telling them a whole story. It signals quality, urgency, and value. So, if we truly want to figure out B2B sales and how to optimize them, we've got to start right here, inside the human brain. Here's our roadmap for this explainer. 1. The psychology of pricing. 2. The anchoring effect. 3. Reducing the felt cost. 4. The vendor's secret weapon. 5. The hidden cost of cash. And finally, 6. Structuring for success. All right, section 1, the psychology of pricing. Let's look at how the mind actually processes value. So it all starts with this foundational concept called loss aversion. Behavioral science reveals something pretty wild. Framing a price around what a buyer stands to lose is actually way more powerful than focusing on potential discounts. A buyer who stands to lose $500 is going to work significantly harder to avoid that loss than they will to pursue a $500 reward. Think about it in your own life, right? Finding a $50 bill in an old winter jacket feels amazing, but losing a $50 bill, that literally ruins your whole day. And that brilliantly illustrates this cognitive asymmetry we all have. The pain of losing capital, or missing out on an opportunity, hits exactly twice as hard as the pleasure of an equivalent gain. That's a 2x multiplier. So, in a high-stakes sales conversation, the highest impact strategy actually has absolutely nothing to do with offering steep discounts. It's about framing the status quo as a massive cost. When a buyer intimately understands what doing nothing is costing them in lost revenue or wasted time, the price of your solution suddenly looks entirely different. Moving right along to section 2, the anchoring effect. Let's see how initial reference points completely shape a buyer's perspective. This is a cognitive bias you probably encounter every single day, whether you realize it or not. Imagine you're looking at a new enterprise software package. The crucial thing to remember here is that a $100 option only feels like a relief if the buyer was first anchored by a $150 option. Without a carefully placed anchor, buyers will just fill in the blank with whatever random reference point they've already got in their heads. And honestly, that might not work out in your favor at all. This is exactly why presenting a premium option early on in a conversation sets such a powerful frame of reference for the whole shebang. But it's not just the amount itself, it's how the actual number looks on the page. You've really got to match your pricing format to your buyer's sophistication level. I mean, we're all suckers for charm pricing at the grocery store, right? Prices ending in 0.99 just make things feel a tiny bit cheaper. But in high-value B2B deals, a clean, round number like $50,000 projects absolute confidence. Pricing a premium consulting gig at $49,999 doesn't feel like a brilliant bargain to a seasoned CFO. But actually, scratch that. It doesn't feel like a bargain at all. Instead, it subconsciously signals uncertainty. It just kind of lacks that absolute premium value. Okay, section 3, reducing the fill cost. How do we take these psychological principles and apply them to big-ticket items? Well, it's really all about reducing that perceived barrier to entry. By disaggregating a massive capital expenditure into smaller, recurring increments, you dramatically lower the friction. Think about the basic math here. A buyer who strongly hesitates at a $24,000 annual contract might readily jump at the exact same commitment when it's simply framed as $2,000 a month. The overall economics are absolutely identical, well, practically speaking anyway, but the perceived friction in the buyer's mind is entirely different. What's super interesting here is how shifting the conversation from a massive lump sum to a manageable monthly operating budget just transforms the entire energy of the room. A massive capital expenditure that usually needs multiple rounds of grueling board approval might actually fit perfectly into a manager's discretionary operating budget when you look at the monthly rate. This simple reframing takes a stalled, tense negotiation and turns it into a highly collaborative, closed deal. It's a real game changer. Next up, section 4, the vendor's secret weapon. Let's look at exactly how equipment vendors are implementing this monthly payment psychology out in the real world. Smart vendors right now are utilizing point-of-sale finance platforms, like the Finance Oxygen app from SE Rentals, to instantly quote monthly financing options on literally any device. The key takeaway here is that they aren't sending buyers away to haggle with a bank and figure it out on their own. Nope, they are bringing the monthly payment solution right to the palm of their hand, exactly at the critical moment of decision. It enables these vendors to sell on cost comparison rather than the daunting total price. And it does it in 3 incredibly simple steps. You enter the cost price, you select the term length, and boom, you instantly generate a proposal. By doing all that complex finance work seamlessly behind the scenes, it removes the friction that normally kills deals dead in their tracks. The vendor gets to focus purely on the relationship and that nice, manageable monthly figure. Take this quote from a vendor selling $30,000 lighting solutions to the coal mining industry. It perfectly highlights how seamless this software is out in the field. Before this, his clients had to wait around for the next year's massive CapEx budget to be announced just to place a simple order. By shifting to a direct monthly finance proposal, he bypassed that massive delay completely. He literally turned a 12-month sales cycle into a 2-minute close. How amazing is that? All right, Section 5, the hidden cost of cash. Now, we need to flip the script entirely and look at the buyer's balance sheet. So you might be wondering, why would a company with millions sitting in the bank choose to finance instead of just paying cash outright? Well, it all comes down to capital allocation. Paying cash immediately drains your working capital. It reduces your flexibility. Equipment financing, on the other hand, isolates the risk. It preserves your hard-earned liquidity for unexpected business needs. It's a highly strategic debate, not just a simple argument over the sticker price. This breakdown really visualizes why financing is so often the conservative, disciplined choice for CFOs who are managing complex installations. Let's look a bit closer. Take the upfront cash impact. Paying cash means a full, immediate drain. Ouch. But more importantly, look at the flexibility aspect. If timelines shift or vendors change or an installation gets delayed, well, your cash is still gone. Financing spreads that risk out over time. It perfectly aligns your payments with when the equipment actually starts generating revenue for you. The true, hidden cost of paying cash isn't actually the money you spent. It's the operational flexibility you completely surrender when project timelines inevitably slip. And let's be real, they almost always slip. In a volatile market, cash is your ultimate safety net. If a temporary downturn hits, or maybe a major customer delays a payment, a cash-heavy equipment purchase turns what felt like a comfortable, debt-free position into a highly constrained, really risky one. For our final section, let's talk about structuring for success. Because fast approvals are great, but the structure has to hold up under real operating conditions. Running through a disciplined CFO checklist ensures your structure actually supports execution. You absolutely have to ask yourself, how much cash leaves the business at closing? Are the payment milestones genuinely aligned with when the equipment is up and running and producing revenue? Carefully running through these questions prevents a CFO from blindly chasing the absolute cheapest interest rate while accidentally draining their most critical operational reserves in the process. Which brings us to the ultimate realization of this explainer. Financing is not a fallback for a lack of funds, not at all. It is a highly strategic tool used to retain total control over your business's growth. And in the B2B world, control means maintaining the absolute ability to respond to the unexpected without any unnecessary constraints. I'm going to leave you with this final thought to really consider before you sign off on your company's next major capital expenditure. When you step back and look at the psychology of the deal alongside the stark reality of your balance sheet, ask yourself, is your purchasing strategy actually protecting your capital, or is it quietly creating constraints? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this gives you a fresh perspective for your next big negotiation.